Back to our distinguished guest in the house, Mr. Olatunji and Mr. Issa. Before we went on a quick break, we were talking about the effect and the impact on arch discipline. So, Mr. Issa, I would like you to go first, and I remember telling you that I want you to talk from the parent's point of view on how the parents could change this mentality coming from the African side, because we don't really focus. No, but I won't really be sentimental about this. From the western part, they also go through this harsh discipline as well. It's not just in Africa.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They also do. So, Mr. Issa, I want you to talk generally for parents in Africa and the Western culture as well.
Okay, I mean, there is a research that have been done by Martinez and Gracia in 2008 regarding, I mean, the type of parenting style, I mean, they should apply. And for them, the research demonstrated that people or kids coming from authoritarian family, they have low esteem. Just to corroborate what you say, the low esteem actually, and when you're in the case of a family where the low esteem is, that can actually affect the way the child could find like the resources in herself when that child is facing a problem, for instance. But in African perspective, as I say earlier, we have discipline is actually very good, but what is not good is like harsh discipline, and corporal discipline demanding high from the parent, from the child. So when you're in the case of, a harsh discipline, what the parents should do is to try to find, first of all, to try to know like the current situation they are, to identify the problem. Try to go through those people who got kid before, or who got children, learn from them, and try to see a psychologist if you're in Africa, if you're in Europe, or if you're in Africa, try to find an expert to seek for advice, because that advice will help you. Because the problem, that family is facing, have been faced by, a family before. So the best way is to try to know the problem and be aware that the problem is not actually the problem, but the problem is the way we are handling the problem.
Come on, nice one. I like that. It's not about the problem, but it's the way we handle the problem.
That's what's up.
Mr. Olatunji?
Yeah, I'm actually against harsh discipline, though. I just give some quick. I have a dog, and forgive me for using that, but I want to just throw light on something. When you raise a dog with beating the dog every time he does something wrong, this is what the dog is going to do. It's going to get into a point where he understands that when he does, he's going to get bitten. Now you're building up the aggression in that dog. If you're raising a pit bull that way, one day he's going to turn on you, and it's going to be drastic. It's the same thing with children. We went to secondary school, and most times when the teachers flog us for doing something wrong, do you know what happens? It doesn't stop us from doing something wrong. We end up building resistance to the cane. Yeah. And then we'll go out and we'll say, hey, I dusted the cane. Hey. So it's hard. I counsel people a lot, and sincerely, it's not fair, because I've seen a lot of people, I'm seriously saying this, who go through low self-esteem because of the parents. They cannot even do anything. They see nothing about themselves. This kind of people end up becoming suicidal. It's very hard for them to get over it, except they get into the right company, because it puts them in a state of self-destruct. Eventually, if it's ladies, they end up finding solace in a guy who maltreats them, but then they still think he's better than my parents. At least he sees something in me, so I'm going to stay with him. It's the same thing with guys also. Yeah. They end up trying to move into clans that would help them accept them. I really think most times it's better for the parents to correct it on time, because the child, it's hardly does anyone have a way to correct themselves, sincerely.
So, on a percentage rate level, what do you think this really affects on the children? Is it the male or the female?
It affects the female are more sensitive. It affects the females a lot. Okay. Because they don't see anything good about. I read a story of a lady who's been dating a man for 20 years, and they're not married, and the guy doesn't want to go public about it, and he says because of the weight. I know this is because she's having low self-esteem, so she thinks this guy is taking me the way I am, so I'm not going anywhere. It doesn't make sense.
And can I just add that low self-esteem,
Mhm.
it's really about the harsh words
That they
at the
say
end
to
of
them.
the day. What is said to you stays with you
Yeah,
for like
Yeah.
your entire life.
exactly.
It's less. Growing up, I got beaten up a lot
Mm.
because I was naughty.
Mm.
Granted, we were all naughty, curious little black kids, but I don't remember my beatings. I remember the harsh words that were said to me.
Were you beaten by Nigerian mom?
No.
Oh, you remember the beating.
That's
But like honestly, like it's I'd rather have a parent. If I'm a parent, I'd rather beat my child and still keep like a positive like
Words, affirmation.
bubble around them. Still tell them, yes, you're smart, you're amazing, you're a good person, you're this. Not too much, obviously, because we're not trying to create narcissism, but to the point where I have been abused emotionally and verbally, I would never want to do that to my
To your
child
children.
because it affects you deeply.
I'm not actually against beating though. I'm more if you want to beat once in a while. Like you give a threat and make it good. But when it becomes a routine, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you. They go, come and beat me. One day you hold your mom in the hand. Hey, don't raise that hand against me.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
it.
We know there's some parents out there who would want to retrain from this attitude, but they don't know how to do it. They might want to correct the child using just a spoken word, but they're already used to the harsh discipline. Mr. Olatunji, what do you think such parents should do to help themselves?
My advice basically is understand your child. Don't just give birth to a child and then think they're gonna live by some rules that you made for them. Understand your child. Make them also understand why something is wrong. Don't just say I'll beat you because you did that, but make them understand this is why this is wrong. When they understand the root and you understand your own child, it's easy to deal with them. If I have a child that's assertive, that has a very dominant personality, then I know I have to approach him in a different way. Most times the children are a reflection of ourselves. That's just it.
So, Mr. Olatunji,
Yeah.
there's this biblical word,
Hmm.
spare the rod.
Spare the rod and spoil
And
the
spoil the
child.
child.
I'm sure it's biblical, but anyway.
But in okay, if it's not biblical, but this
It's
Christian
biblical.
family choke this
Spare
word
the rod.
into
Spare the
us.
rod and
So
spoil the
it
child.
doesn't mean beat the child all the time.
Okay, so if you're to explain it in a literary
Definitely
meaning,
doesn't
In a literal meaning, it's
beat
like
the child
this.
with the rod.
A child will always have foolishness in his heart.
okay,
So you show them some way, and definitely there'll be some extreme. Give them some rod, some spanking, and stuff like that. But it shouldn't be the only way. It should be
Okay.
like the last resort.
okay. So, Mr. Issa,
Yes.
to these kids suffering from low esteem due to harsh parenting, what do you think these children could do to help themselves?
Wow. The children, I mean, they should try to learn. I mean, learning is ongoing process. When I mean to learn to get out of that low self-esteem, for instance, or those emotional affairs. I mean, emotional problem they are having. They have to try to identify it first, and after identifying, it's try to learn something. I mean, it's never too late to change. We have to start. I mean, those kids, they have to start learning. I mean, start to learn, because in the normal way, the parents were supposed to teach. I mean, to give like a good parenting style to the children. Since the parent has failed, and the child or the children want to not be a failure, they have to find like the inner resources to get out of this problem. Like when you take like Messi or even like Jack Ma is like the famous example. Jack Ma is like somebody who graduated from a English, as an English teacher. At the end of the day, he end up being like, the executive, chairman of Alibaba Group. Meaning what, like, the family is not only the problem. Where you are coming from is not actually the problem. It's the way you could, the child could find a way to change, his future. That matter. Like the example of Jack Ma. The guy, I mean, his own story, when you go to online, you can even see it. The guy say I've been rejected 10 times. I mean, while applying in the Harvard. That was the first rejection. And secondly, too, the guy, when a KFC was coming to China, to his main town, there were 23 applying for the job. And he was the only one, who got, a rejection. At the end of the day, when he formalized the Alibaba project, he went to the United States and he tried to, to find like sponsors, people who could help him to implement his business plan. And they told him, this business can never work. This one is a failed project. They tried to put him in the situation of self-esteem level. But at the end of the day, the guy did not accept. He keep believing himself. He keep working out. At the end, he's the well-known guy from China actually. And nowadays, even the way Alibaba is working, is type of unbelievable. But this is the way people are making business. E-commerce is now.
But I must add, finally, from my side, I think that you cannot take away the God factor. Really, for me personally, that's my conviction. No matter what my father did to me or my mother did to me, it took a change of heart for me when I met God. And then I just said, okay, I forgive them. I'm going to try to make it work. It's not easy, though, but you heal through. That's it.
So,
we're all human. We all make mistakes. There's no, clear, defined, perfect way of parenting. So I just feel like if you, because Michelle said this last week, she was like, if you make God the center of your parenthood, then your child will not have to be as disciplined as as opposed to, because if they grow up loving God, knowing the word of God, fearing God, then it would just be easier.
That's the scriptural one. Train up your child in the way that he should go, and you'll not depart from it.
Exactly.
If you give them that understanding of the law for God, it makes it even easier.
Yeah.
To train.